I love in your lecture you referenced St. Paul's giving instructions in Ephesians 5 to husbands and wives on how to relate to each other based upon the church's relationship to Christ and Christ to the church. It made me think when I was reading your lecture, it made me think about the very first wedding I ever did, which was a beautiful wedding, beautiful couple. Thank God, 33 or 4 years later, they're still married, have grandkids now. Praise the Lord. Priests always like we don't like bad outcomes. But I'll never forget something that happened at the wedding in the reception. So of course, we read that epistle lesson from Ephesians 5, where St. Paul says to the wife, obey your husband, respect your husband, submit to your husband. And then, of course, the following, that's just 3 verses. 3 verses. And then 9 verses of the most, forgive me, but impossible commands on the husband. Not just respect your wife, but lay your life down for her, shed your blood for her, treat her body exactly as your own body. I always tell people in counseling that, if you're a husband, you have a toothache, man, you drop everything, you deal with your toothache. If you're married, if your wife has a toothache, you have to do the exact same thing, 100%. It's because it's your tooth. You guys literally are supposed to be treating each other as the same flesh. That's what St. Paul says. And he says the husband should lay his wife down as Christ laid his life down for the church. And then he says the husband should wash his wife with the water of the word and present her spotless and blameless on the day of Christ.
The day of judgment, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, so we read that at the wedding, and at the reception, one of the bridesmaids, I overheard one of the bridesmaids complaining to the new bride. She must not have been very familiar with that text.
Right? A lot of people don't skip over that text.
And she said to her, this is a quote, so excuse my English here, but she said to the bride, can you imagine, at the reception, she said, my God, Father Josiah just made you your husband's slave. Because she heard the word obey.
Yeah.
She heard the word obey. I've always used that in my pre-marriage counseling all these decades because I found it so hilarious. Right here's the man, he gets way harder commands. 3 times as much, 300% more. And yet the thing that really strikes modern people is obeying someone?
Yeah.
She thought that was degradation. How is that not degradation?
I think that people, their vision of hierarchy, they have this broken, fallen image of what hierarchy is. And it's understandable because we see abuse of power all over. We see it in our governments, we see it in the social structures. But when we look at how Christ sets up the hierarchy, he transforms it and he makes it actually into one of the most beautiful things that you can imagine. Because the problem is that we can't get away from it. We need hierarchy to function. We need leaders. We need people with authority. You can't avoid it. It's always going to be there. But what Christ sets up is in some ways this double covenant, where on the one hand, he tells the lower party, which in this case is the wife, but in our case is my priest, my bishop, the policeman, all of the authorities that exist in the world, that you have to submit to that authority. And then he calls to the authority to love and to sacrifice themselves for that. But that is actually the solution to social problems. It's the solution to hierarchy. If you have a hierarchy that gives itself to those that serve the hierarchy, and then the people below obey, then it's a perfect world. Obviously, it's difficult, but it is in some ways the best way for things to exist together. But like you said, what happens is people always only see the one side. They only see this image of, I need to submit. But the truth is, you will always have to submit to something, to someone. There's no way around that.
The end of your lecture, you gave some